This particular panel is very close to my heart. All my life, I have lived in and around the media and technology and telecom space, and it was really interesting for me that all of them are sort of blurring and merging and combining and overlapping, and we now need to be, have multiple levels of expertise and muscles all across the board. In the Middle Ages, people like us and a lot of people in this group here, we were called Renaissance men, people who are good in sports and music and clothes and art and so on. And I think we need, in this new world of media, content, advertising, marketing, to be Renaissance men and Renaissance women, because we need to be able to understand the broad width of that. With your permission, I'll share a little presentation to set the context, and it also enables people to start joining and also for our guests to join. So here's a little presentation that I concocted this morning, and I hope you will enjoy it. So, future of media, advertising, branding, marketing, and content. Now, this is one of my favorite slides that I use in almost every presentation these days. The exponential digital shift that's happening around us at the moment. What used to happen in decades is now happening in months. And this is one of the critical things of our lifetime today. Whatever industry we're in, whether in e-commerce, entertainment, remote working, etc., everything is happening, and it's being impacted by media, it's been impacted by technology, connectivity, and this particular slide is really our world as we live in today. This is also part of where we are as far as COVID is concerned. We've passed the first 12 to 15 months. We're in the second phase, where first phase was just our oxygen mask out there, and we just needed to survive and be resilient and get on, other than a few companies that have excelled. But most of us had to just get through that. But now we're at that stage where we need to be more collaborative, innovative, and resourceful to be able to move forward and rapidly into radical reinvention, disruption, and adaptability, and really actively being adaptable. And we call it adaptive radiance. And this thing is going to be massively accelerated, and we as a group will be able to address that. The kinds of things we'll be talking about is demystifying social media to some extent, and I dare say Ross and others will be able to comment on this, because to a lot of normal people like me, it is still a little bit like a Rubik's Cube. The other one is content overload, but not just too much information, but misinformation, disinformation, all of it's coming together. And what is truth? And we need to be able to look at that. And truth and perception is where we are in this world today. So if you look at it from one of the perspectives, it looks like a square. If you look from another perspective, it looks like a circle. They are both true, but the absolute truth, the objective truth, is that it's a cylinder. So that if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And all of this ubiquity of media and availability of that is really testing the truth. And this is potentially, I believe, one of the biggest challenges of modern times that we have today. Just look at trust, which is one of the key things that drives our business. Truth, credibility, it is absolutely at the lowest point ever. The Republican Party, only 18% of them believe in traditional media, 18%. So the thing, everything is just a complete joke. And critical thinking is the real key thing that is going to get us out of that. And we need to start teaching people how to be critical thinkers at school, at universities, in our businesses. So rather than doing a program on sales, let's all talk about doing a program on trust, critical thinking, and empathy. And I think those are the kinds of things we need to look at. We have people in this group who have worked in publishing, and we have the CEO of Khaleej Times, Rajiv Khanna, and we'll do a little deep dive in terms of fake news and deep fakes and how it's going to affect our business. Now, the world is really making money by a number of clicks and the traffic that we get out there. And bad news travels 10 times faster than good news. Fake news travels 10 times faster than good news. And it's really just Chinese whispers, and it just goes from one to the other. And, try to stop the spread of fake news. That is working against human behavior because our amygdala has clicked in, the fear factor has clicked in, and we need to be able to address that. Now, the big shifts, the big paradigm shifts that are coming in at the moment, globalization has already happened, and we're actually now looking at deglobalization because of COVID in some cases. Digitization is everybody is familiar with that. But the new word that I'd like to share today and perhaps discuss is dispersion. And dispersion is the ability to distribute products and services over a wide area, potentially globally, where and when they are needed most, removing friction and cost. And that is the core, hardcore definition of dispersion. And in the digital transformation cycle, this philosophy of dispersion, which really is happening over the last 1 to 2 years, is clicking in and fitting into the overall mesh of digital transformation as it goes out there to be able to create abundance. One of the people who are brilliant at this, who are masters of disruption, Apple, they take an industry, they work in stealth mode, and then they blow up the industry and dominate it. Now, what they are doing is building a big word for today. They're building Rundles. Rundles are revenue recurring bundles. And this is not just a subscription program, it actually is the mother of all subscription programs. And what Apple is coming in on 2021 with their billion users, if they can get 100 million of them paying $100 a month and give them everything, they will be a $4 trillion company, not a $2 trillion company. And this is the shift that's happening, and they become competitors to us. The same is applying with Amazon, and Amazon Prime is there. And Amazon Prime and Disney Plus and these folks, Apple, are really going to start dominating the media space and consolidating the media space because they have customer data, they have insight, they have information, and they will absolutely destroy it. So looking at the future from a marketing point of view, I wanted to look at frontier versus follower CMOs. This is a report written by Dentsu, a brilliant report, and it talks about frontier CMOs who are engaging with this digital future, and they're less than 20%. So 80% of the people are still following and responding to our new needs based on old rules. And that is really, really crazy, because it's just not going to work, certainly not at a sustainable level. And some of the elements that we have spoken about is hyper empathy, how to actually deeply understand the customer, hyper agility, to literally act like a startup rather than big companies, hyper collaboration, and everything from working with each other as partners, but also looking at mergers and acquisitions. Accenture spent about $3 billion in 2019. Half of it was spent on buying media companies. And so media design companies like Fjord and others. So that's a huge trend, which we'll ask perhaps Ross to comment on. And hyper consolidation, again, coming together, and the merging of consulting and design companies and so on. And finally, hyper transparency. People are becoming extremely aware of where things are. So these were just some of the strategies that I'd like to throw up in the air. And if you just indulge me for another couple of minutes, I'll throw a few more rules in the air that I see as far as the future of media is concerned, and then we can get into the conversation. The first one is, before I go there, is that whenever change comes, it comes and it hits us from unexpected places. And this is what is going to happen to us if we are not careful and if you're not looking forward. So the rules that in this kind of world where we get lots and lots of good surprises is from a traditional analog world, we're already into a digital ubiquitous world where we need to make it hybrid and immersive. And the rules are as follows. Just 3 slides, and then we get on to our guests. First is that strategy needs to become human, behavioral, contextual, and exponential of all of our customers. It goes back to foundational and first principle design thinking. And the core utilities is built around that relationship and need. Those are the first fundamental rules we start with. The second set of rules are the future of media is not about existing customers, it's building around hybrid and building around utility. And stop hiring media professionals, hire data scientists and anthropologists and psychologists and musicians and teachers, because they understand our customers, they understand data way more than the existing sales executive in media. So that's sort of something we need to think of. So whenever we think marketing and media now, we think scale. And when we think scale, we think tech. applying 10x thinking, and completely changing our cost structures into going into Rundles, thinking free, thinking platform, thinking ecosystem. And finally, we think anything that's non-touch, AR, VR, voice, XR, any of that will start coming together. So our core is good. Let's focus on that, but absolutely have the courage and the vision to go for the edge. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the immersive hybrid ecosystem. I went on a few minutes longer than I intended, but at least we've now set the tone in terms of what we can do as we go forward. So, so I hope this gave us some interesting context for you to really get involved in this particular process as we move.